Hello and welcome everyone to this session, which is based on a question I have received from Simin. Let me share my screen so you can see what question she has asked me. As you can see, she says, why do we say, who did you see, but who saw you? Why don't we say, who did see you? Why has the word did, the auxiliary, disappeared? To answer the question, to decide if we need did or not, we have to look at which part of the sentence the question is about. Who is asking about what part of the subject sentence? Is it the subject or the object? Okay, so let's have a look at what is the subject of a sentence, what is the object of a sentence. The subject of a sentence does the action, does the verb. The object receives the action of the verb. So a very simple sentence like Jenny saw Simon. If we ask the question about Jenny, who is the doer, the actor, Jenny did the seeing, the question will be different. Let's look at a question about the object, Simon, the part that receives the action. If we ask the question about Simon, then we need a normal question form with the right help verb, because our verb is saw, so it's the past simple tense. We need the help verb did. Who did Jenny see? The answer is Simon. But if we ask a question about Jenny, the subject, we do not need a question form anymore. The word who, the question word who, directly replaces the subject. Jenny saw Simon, remove Jenny and put in who. Who saw Simon? And the answer is Jenny. Right? So that's why sometimes with who questions, we see an auxiliary verb and sometimes we don't. It's about what are we asking about? Are we asking about the subject, the doer, or the object, the receiver of the action, right? Now, the subject and the object of a sentence can be a person, like we just saw, Jenny and Simon, but they can also be a thing. For example, in the sentence, the ball broke the window. The ball is the subject, the thing that's doing the breaking, and the window is the object. That's what something is happening to the window. It's receiving the action. The same rule applies. If you're asking about the object, the window, normal question with the auxiliary. Broke is past simple. We need again the auxiliary did. What did the ball break? It broke the window. But if you ask about the subject, the ball, then there is no question form. There is no auxiliary. The ball broke the window. What replaces the ball? What broke the window? And the answer is the ball. Okay, so that's just how the language has developed. There is no logical reason for it. You just have to be able to distinguish between subject and object of a sentence, which I think is now clear for you. But there is a little thing to remember. The examples we had, Jenny saw Simon and the ball broke the window, in these sentences, Simon and the window are direct objects. Sometimes a sentence has an indirect object. And as you know, an indirect object is an object that comes after a preposition. We have a preposition in the sentence. For example, Jenny spoke to Simon. Here, Simon is an indirect object because it has the word to, the preposition to before it. So how do we formulate our question now? There are two questions that come up when we have an indirect object. The first question is, Should we use a different question word, like whom? I think you have this idea that who is direct and whom is indirect. So first question, should we use whom to ask the question? And the second question that comes up is, where should we put the preposition? What happens to the preposition of this indirect object? Now we have three options to formulate a question for this kind of sentence. Let's look at the three options. We can start with the preposition and say to whom, preposition and the word whom, the question word whom. To whom did Jenny speak? That's one option. Another option is to keep the word whom, use the question word whom, but put the preposition at the end, like whom did Jenny speak to? And there's a third option. Forget whom completely. Just use who, like we did with a direct object. Who did Jenny speak to? Preposition at the end. Now, maybe you can think about it a little bit, which one sounds best to you. We will see. Actually, all three are correct, but they give different feelings. They have different usages. Let's look at that. The first one, to whom did Jenny speak, is very, very formal and old-fashioned. So I have put that in brackets saying it's correct, it's not wrong, but it's very uncommon. I personally wouldn't use this formulation of this question. Number two is we use whom, not who, but whom, but put the preposition at the end. Whom did Jenny speak to? You may hear this in American English, not always, but in some American speakers use whom like this, but never, not in British English. In British English, it's always the third option, who. We tend to avoid whom. Just use who and put the preposition at the end. So that's the most common in British English and also used in American English. You can hear both 2 and 3 among American speakers. So who did Jenny speak to? Right? That's the one I would recommend you use. Actually, the only time in British English that you hear the word whom is in short questions. Like if you just say to whom, and then you must use the whom word. You can't say to who. But whom is so uncommon in British English that British speakers very often actually move the preposition to the end, even with short questions. So instead of saying to whom, which still sounds very formal, they just say who to. That's the most common way of formulating even short questions in British English. The only time in British English you see the word whom is in the formal phrase to whom it may concern. That's when you write a letter, for example, to just anybody. This letter can be taken to whoever needs to see it. And then you will see this form, to whom it may concern. So that is about who and whom. I hope that's clear. Now let's come back to what. Obviously, when the indirect object is a thing, the only question word is what. Doesn't matter if it's direct or indirect, right? But we still have to look at the place of the preposition with the word, with the question word what. So let's have an example here. Jenny knocked on the window. So here, the window is an indirect object with the preposition on. So let's see what sounds better to you. Should we say, on what did Jenny knock? Or what did Jenny knock on? Maybe sometimes you have to go by your ear. What sounds better? Right. Again, in British English, definitely it's what did Jenny knock on? It's very uncommon in British English to start with a preposition to start a question with a preposition. So, and I think even in American English, this would be strange. The most common question would be, what did Jenny knock on? So keep your preposition to the end. Again, the only time we would hear it at the beginning is in the short question. Preposition at the beginning is in short questions. On what? Then it's okay there. And I just thought that I mentioned that the same applies to questions with which. Which and what are very similar. What is open, global, and which you have to say which what is followed by a noun. So even if you use which window did Jenny knock on? Preposition at the end. Or which company does Jenny work for? For at the end. Okay, that's the end of the presentation on this topic. I hope it has clarified a little bit how to formulate questions with who, what, which, and occasionally, if you want to speak American English, whom correctly. I hope you've enjoyed this lesson. For more on this topic, click here. Remember to also check out my complete online course, and don't forget to like and subscribe. Thank you for watching and happy studies!